Hi, everybody. Sorry that we had to cancel class last night. I mean, we got off to such a good start and we're up and running, but obviously we can't control the weather. Just to let you know what we missed last night, we missed a little bit of the teaching that I was going to do, but I'll do that next Tuesday night instead. We missed a bit of the discussion that we could have had around some of the exercises that you did, but we'll just move on from there. I just want to give you a little bit of a logistical update of where we're going in the course in this short video. So you're working on your first sermon assignment, and here's the wiki tab. You've all chosen a date and a text to give your first sermon. Brooke, I sent you an email. We have to figure out January 20 and what's going on with that. But you should be working with that first sermon. Obviously, you've noticed that some of the exercises based on the reading are associated with your first sermon assignment, so keep doing those. Work on it little by little. Certainly use the guidelines in Hayes, Preaching God's Word, as a good way to organize your sermon. I'm going to give you a detailed instruction guide as to how to put that first sermon together next Tuesday. But just to give you a little bit of a indication of what's going to be included in that first sermon, let me just remind you of this for the first sermon assignment. So first of all, no manuscript required. You may make a manuscript to use in your first sermon delivery, but you don't have to hand in a manuscript. What you will hand in instead is the videotape. So I want you sort of to make arrangements to have that sermon videotaped, and you will submit a link to where you've stored it, perhaps on your YouTube channel, and that'll be the way that you submit that first sermon event. Because unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be present at all of those because I have my own ministry assignments on those days. A third thing that you should be thinking about doing and getting it arranged is to identify 2 or 3 key leaders from your ministry context who will be part of a reflection group after you deliver your sermon on that night. And then we need to figure out the 2 students who will be attending the various sermons for each other. And then those 2 students, along with the 2 or 3 key leaders, will be part of the reflection group after the sermon is preached. So keep working on that first sermon, using the readings, using the assignments that I'm giving you each week to work through. So let's go back here to the Sakai, and let me take you to the Lessons tab. So this is the Lessons tab that we missed for last night. You work through all these assignments. I'll get them graded as soon as I get a chance. We would have had a discussion on those things, but obviously we'll have to sort of miss that. For next week, you should go on to the next module, and that is the module entitled Making Connections to Jesus, right here for Tuesday, January 22. So go here and begin to work through these. It's going to take some time and really not to be meant to be done in a single day. So get started on it early if possible, but just work your way down through the assignments and the readings. The reading here from Christopher Wright is what we're really going to concentrate on for next week. Do the reading and then work your way through these reading worksheets. There'll be some texts from the Old Testament that you'll have to work through. Make sure you do those thoroughly and give yourself enough time to do those. And then here's a sermon assignment associated with that first text that you chose. And this will involve, obviously, using Wright and making connections to Jesus in your particular text. Then here's the reading from Preaching God's Word. Make sure that you come to class next week with a question and a comment. That's for the Hayes reading and also for the Wright reading, a question and a comment so that we can maybe launch into a bit of a discussion in class. And then here again, you'll do a sermon assignment based on your text. using the reading from Hayes and Duval. So work through those, work through this module, and then come prepared next Tuesday to have a discussion. And my teaching next Tuesday will be about preaching redemptive sermons, specifically, how to preach the gospel, redemption, and making connections to Jesus. All right, let me take it to the syllabus and just give you a little bit look ahead at what's coming. Here's the syllabus, and work our way down to the actual course schedule here. So you know what you're doing for week 3. I just went over that, making connections to Jesus. For the next week, we'll talk about preaching from the Pentateuch, or from the law. And you'll work through the readings. This is where you'll view one of the expert preachers. And I'll give you a choice of either David Platt, Matt Chandler, or Tim Keller. And that video links will be posted, and you'll choose one of those and then evaluate it. For the next week on preaching from the narratives, that's when you'll view my sermon from Nehemiah. I've decided that you don't have to visit my church if you don't want to. You can if you'd like to, but I will post video links to 2 of my sermons from Nehemiah. You can choose one of those and then evaluate it. The next expert preacher that you will view will be either a sermon from the poetry or from the prophets. You can choose one or the other. So again, I'll post video links with poetry sermons from Chandler, Platt, Keller, and then also from the prophets, and then you'll just choose one of those. And then note the very last week, it'll be your second sermon that you'll prepare, and you'll have the entire last week. So don't panic, you'll have a whole week to put together your second and final sermon. So, sorry we missed class last night again, but that's a little update on where we are. If you have any questions, please email me or let me know. Otherwise, work your way through Module 3, and we'll see you next Tuesday, January 22 at 6 p.m. in the Library Media Center. All right, everybody, have a good week.